Good morning, friends. Long time since I was last on, probably a week. We've been in the snow here, where I'm from in North Carolina, so that's been interesting. This will be our fourth day in a row without school, so it's Thursday, January something, 29th or 30th, something like that. It's the 29th, Thursday, January 29th, 2026. So, um, my apologies for not being more consistent on my morning schedule. But we were kind of prepping for the snow and getting ready. There was a lot of wood chopping to be done. So, Graphic Novel Pro has begun. And so I'm doing that with Jake Parker and Sean Crystal and a whole host of other artists and writers and comic book creators, graphic novel amateurs and professionals alike. There's a wide spectrum of skill level. I am humbled and encouraged to be in the group, and humbled because I realize this is a daunting task and it requires a lot of me. And simultaneously, I'm getting my art teaching license, North Carolina art teaching license. So I have classes online at UNC Charlotte, and that's daunting. It seems like there's a lot on my plate. In addition to that, I'll be transitioning from teaching K through 7 art this year to teaching high school art next year. So there's just one thing after another kind of there, plus my wife and my daughter and life in general. And our sweet little dog Boston, who is a Boston Terrier. So we've got all of those things sort of cooking and going. And I've just been reminded that for me personally, when I have a lot on my plate, I tend to think somewhere in the future about nothing is ever going to get done. And that can be very distracting. So what I'm really striving to do is just put in the work each day, in each of these little sections that I'm working on, and trust the process that it's going to work out. So that's kind of where I am. Now, I did my pitch for my graphic novel, which really, I think for this class is just going to be the comic book Humble Beginnings, which is kind of where I had always intended to start the story for our main character, which is Caden, this fella right here. These other characters will be introduced throughout the course of the story, but they don't really come into play in Humble Beginnings. But this Maya, Remy, and Allie. And so everything is kind of subject to change. These are kind of the characters that haven't varied much over the years. But this is our protagonist or our hero, Caden Crow. So when I did my pitch, one of the questions that came up was the game of Ringo. Now, Ringo is a game that's played on the island, on the mainland of Harapan. Our boy Caden comes from a small rim island, and the rim islands are kind of on the perimeter, circling around the main big island of Harapan. And people on the rim island do not have much technology. It's kind of a low-tech sort of existence. People build their homes out of flotsam and salvaged things that wash up on the shore from the regular storms, tropical storms that hit the island. So there's not a lot of electricity. There is a little bit of electricity at the hub, which is kind of the central area where people do all of there's the market there, there's the courier service, the salvage yard, some restaurants and bars and things like that are located at the hub. That's sort of like the central place on San Sebastian for the residents to come. And then there's just a plethora of little villages and settlements sort of throughout the island. And Caden is a courier on that island. But one of the games is called, or the game that everybody plays and everybody watches is called Ringo. And it's also called Mall Ball by fans because it has become increasingly more dangerous, I guess you would say, over the years as people have grown in their strategies and their abilities. The level of play just has continued to increase, and now it has become, pretty violent in some ways. So he kind of dreams that Ringo is kind of his way out of this life on San Sebastian, where he's working kind of 3 jobs to help make ends meet. His mom, Annie, he lives with his mom, Annie. We don't get too much into his story yet, but there will be more and more from it. But today I want to explore the game of Ringo. And the reason why I want to explore that is because when I did my pitch, somebody said, I'm so confused. What is this game? We don't have much information on it. And the reason why we don't have a ton of information on it is because I haven't worked out a lot of the details yet. So we're going to just start working on some of the things that Ringo is all about. First of all, it's a game that is played on land, air, and water. So that's a good thing to recognize. So LAW, which also, ironically, is sort of the bastion of enforcement on the island, land, air, and water. So you've got different components to that. You've got your land units, your air units, and your water units, which also is true in the game of Ringo. So Ringo, as the name implies, happens in sort of these rings, the outer one being the water, kind of like the island. This next ring is kind of like the air, and you have scouts here. So you'll have two teams, and they have like scouts. Each team has two air players, and so they get posts up above everything, and they're kind of like scouts, and they can view everything that's going on. And then the middle ring is kind of more like just a big circle where the land players go, and there's only one land player per team. So you've got the land players, you've got 1, 2 on opposing teams. You've got 2 air players or 2 scouts, and then you've got 4 water entities. Okay, so they have different vehicles. So the air players have these sort of flight suits. And as you kind of increase in your level all the way up to the professional level, the equipment that you use also improves dramatically. So people that are professional Ringo players, they have incredible technology, cutting edge stuff, and that's pretty cool because on the island, only the wealthiest have the best tech, right? So, oops. So this is Ringo. It's kind of like an idea. The field is going to have a little bit more dimension than that, of course. That's just a really rough kind of sketch on it. Let me see. I have, yes, this, affectionately called mall ball. Now, I'm still in the process of deciding what the ball is. What is the ball? A ball. Okay, and I've gone with a lot of different thoughts for this. So let me draw a couple of things just to sort of get some ideas on the page. All right, I really want this burnt orange or mineral orange for this. I like the idea of orange because it stands out in the blue water. Be easy to see visually. Obviously, I love basketball, so that's probably part of why I like the orange. But I'm not 100% sold on the shape of the ball. Now, it could just be a normal sphere, okay? Kind of like and I like this idea because I like it like a softball size, but kind of also a little bit squeezy. So, you know, could even do something sort of basketball-esque with the ball. And it's just fun to draw. Man, love drawing these. Love the seams on them and all of that. So this could be it. Let's go ahead and pop some black in there. Darken this puppy up. Ooh, we need to sharpen you. So, yeah, one of the things about the basketball just in general is it's such a cool shape. And when you break it up and don't have that line go all the way through, it just adds a very unique, I think, visual element that really catches the eye, and it's just fun to look at. So that is kind of one of the concepts. Maybe it's sort of like a miniature basketball kind of thing that just about the size of a softball, where anybody playing could grip it really easy and throw it. You know, I'm picturing something with really good weight to it, something that's, you know, it's got a little bit more weight than just your average inflated ball, so that you could throw it further. So that's one concept. Now, this thing starts, and multiples of these actually start in the water. So they would be out, and somehow I'm thinking that I want them to be underwater as well. So I don't know. I don't know if inflated is the right way to go with that, or if something a little more solid is the right way to go. Or maybe they do float and people just kind of zip around on their jet skis or whatever their watercraft is and grab these things up out of the water. But their goal is to get it into these nets. And so they would have like kind of, let me draw this, kind of these nets that would be pretty big, and they would be strung up in the air, kind of maybe from like 4 posts or something, like this. And so they're just going to throw these as they get them out of the water. They're going to throw them, and that's going to be a score. So the challenge with being Ringo is, where do they have to go to score, right? So, and what is the blocking of these attempts going to be? Meaning, do the players on this side have to score on the opponent's goal, right? And they have to score on the opponent's goal, and then the scouts have to come out and pick those up, because they have to pick them up and bring them right to here, which is kind of called the grill. The center circle is called the grill. Let's go ahead and get, okay, so these are the baskets or nets. Okay, you got scouts, air players. So you got 2 air players, which are called scouts. Okay. You've got 4 water players. They would be called anglers, maybe. I don't know. Anglers. They're basically trying to get the balls from the water. So, and then 1 by land player. They'd be called waiters. Okay, we call waiters scouts, anglers, and waiters. So these guys can communicate with the ones in the water and tell them when these are released. And they could be release points, you know, maybe at these spots, probably there and there. And maybe we've even got the halfway line through the center of this puppy, like that. Release ports for the balls, and maybe a total of 28 balls. All right, get dropped per period. Maybe 28 balls per period, maybe. Now, get 1 point, or maybe we do 4 points for each net, or for each basket, because that reminds you of basketball, right? Maybe 8 points for each touchdown. Because these guys have to touch down. They have to scoop, 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 touch down, and deliver. The waiters will deliver. All right, they have to deliver. The waiters deliver. So they have to scoop and deliver. They have to scoop and score. They have to scoop and score by coming back around. And delivering it back. Maybe they deliver it back to the scout post. Like a field goal almost. And is that 16 points for each? Basket, touchdown for each goal. And that could be a goal. So then maybe the scout post, whoops, looks like a T, but it has a target. And they have to hit the target by throwing the ball. So they're riding the bike and they have to throw. So this would probably be like a 30 or 40 foot throw. Is that? All right. So that's a possible ball right there. Let's see. Now the other thing is, it could be, I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So then people can grab those. Now I'm thinking that they might need some kind of lacrosse style stick to scoop and grab. right? Hmm. Nice. There we go. So this is the equipment. The equipment. I forgot what that's called. Scoop stick. I had something that I did. Can't remember where I did this. To help me remember. Let's see. Alright, let's go to page 4 of this. Net stick. Net stick. The ball. Net stick. Alright. Sure, a helmet would be smart, right? I would imagine people would need a helmet. Eventually, there's going to be these really cool suits that they're going to have. But we need our helmet first. Yes, we'll do something like this for the helmet, I suppose. Want it to look a little bit cooler shape language than maybe some of the helmets that are out there for sports currently, because they don't look super cool, and we want these to look pretty smart, you know. Yeah, something like that. So a net stick, a helmet, the ball. People can wear goggles or glasses if they need to, especially the flight operators or the water folks. So that'd be cool. They could use motorcycles, I suppose, although at the advanced level of Ringo, I'm thinking that they have sort of like these mech animals, almost like cheetahs and things, but machine made. So not actual animals. I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking of. So the rules are, I'm thinking 3 periods. 3 periods. Three 16-minute periods. That would be pretty cool. Let's see. See what we got. If we did 16 times 3, that'd be 48 minutes. That would be an hour. Probably of game time. It seems pretty reasonable, I guess. Yeah, 3 periods, 16 minutes each. So then I'm thinking, how do you disseminate 28 of the balls over 16 minutes? So I'm thinking 16 minutes is divisible by 2 times 8, 4 times 4. That's it. 28. It's 16. You do 28. It's divisible 2 times 14. 4 times 7. So every 4 minutes, 7 balls are dropped out. Yeah. So within that 16-minute period, every 4 minutes, 7 balls released. Now, the only thing is the balls are not just going to be released. The tides and the pulls are going to be cycling. So, this is so if 7 balls are released, you might have 4 drop out of here, 3 drop out of here. Yeah. So I'm thinking about golden arches or bullseye to be able to throw that in. If you've got the net stick, you can really sling it probably a lot further. So sorry, I was off camera there. That's very interesting stuff. Now, this might not make sense for a lot of people. So how do I start drawing this in a way that makes sense? I don't know. Alright, let's see. Let's get a little bit of the water stuff going. Let's go ahead and get a nice big ellipse. I'm going to need a little bit of room for okay. So these would kind of come down to the net. So the net is going to be the first thing that holds, or the basket. Okay. All right, so all right, water players. Let's see. They are going to have kind of like jet skis. But I want them to also have a cool and unique look. I don't want them just to look like your standard jet skis. So that's going to take a little bit of time to parse out. And I want them to have a little bit of animal stylings to them. So you're going to have like this battle on the water, rushing to get these as they get dropped out of port. Because they're going to be going clockwise. And these guys are going to have sticks in hand. So they're going to be able to operate their jet ski and have this sort of like lacrosse style net stick. Alright, so these guys are traveling to get these things, and they are spitting up water as they go. Alright, so this guy needs to be actually grabbing one out of the water so we can kind of see what that looks like. Now he's going to be going forward pretty fast, but need to kind of arm back, looking back. Ball sloshing up into okay. So this dude, oh, got my wrong. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's get a little bit of blue in there. A little bit of blue. Since we're in the water, that will indicate sort of the environment a little bit. Hopefully. Okay. So that's the water. Here's this net. kind of being held up by these posts or pylons here. So in the outer rim, or in the border towns, which are kind of they're still on the mainland, but they're kind of like the outermost ones on the mainland. They have less technology than those kind of in the center city sections. So they might have like more cable-y looking, rope looking nets. Now when they get into the professional teams, they're going to be looking a little more tech savvy, so to speak. Yeah, I'm not great at drawing vertical lines, obviously. It's fine. Alright, so you got the golden arches. There's the tiny target, and then you're going to have the bigger target. So, and this can be a hologram, I suppose, right in here. Something soft so that if it hits the rim, it would still go in. Something like that. I don't know. Alright, we're going to have one flight person right up here on their vehicle. It's going to look somewhat bird-like. There's a scout up there on their so they're going to have some kind of vehicle up there. Okay. Let's have another scout player kind of taking off here. Oh, I should have done this first. Makes it a little bit easier to draw. And ideate, you just get a little bit better feel for what you're trying to do. All right, there we go. So this one has one of the balls. Okay. Those lines are horrible. Okay. But put it on the grill. Alright, and then the LAN player is going to be coming back something kind of like a motorcycle. Probably carrying, so driving, but carrying. The ball and the catch, or the net stick. Okay, so this is redunculous, but this is the game called Ringo or Mall Ball. There. I don't know. This is supposed to be the grill. I don't know if that's good or not for Ringo. I don't like the color being quite that big, but oh well, I can adjust. Ringo. The game where every score can score you more. Come back. Alright, so all of this will be pavement here. Yeah, it's horrible. I should have kept it going this direction till right there. That's what would have made it look better. Ugh. Ugly marks. Oh well, live and learn. Okay. Yep. Alright, so there's Ringo in sort of a unique fashion. Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, got a lot of work to do to get there, buddies. Sure do. So I guess I'll put a little bit more of this stuff online. Let people take a look at that and see what they think of it all. Get some feedback for some professional writers and artists, and hopefully direct this thing a little bit better, make it look a little more cohesive, so to speak, and polished up. So just want to thank you for joining me. Please forgive me for my squeaks and burps and things like that. But as always, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and keep following for more to come.